He measured my shoulders carefully, but his eyes told a different story. The tape measure whispered against my skin like a secret too heavy to hold. Jordan's fingers, steady from years of sketching blueprints that scraped the sky, lingered just a beat too long on my collarbone. It was 7 a.m. in the heart of Greenwich Village, the kind of New York morning where the fog clung to the brownstones like a hangover, and the distant rumble of a garbage truck echoed like thunder in my chest. I was Alex Harper, 28, chasing shadows on off-Broadway stages. My resume a graveyard of callbacks that never called back. And he was Jordan Reyes, 35, the architect whose glass towers pierced Manhattan's skyline. A man whose name showed up in Architectural Digest while mine barely made the playbills. But right then, in the dim glow of my uncle's old tailor shop, with the scent of pressed wool and fresh coffee grounds hanging thick in the air, none of that mattered. His breath hitched, a soft exhale that stirred the fine hairs on my neck, and our eyes met in the mirror's reflection. Blue crashed into hazel and the world tilted. It wasn't the measurement that undid me. It was the hunger in his gaze, raw and uncharted, like he'd been drafting me in his mind for months without ever putting pencil to paper. I'd inherited this shop 6 months ago, after Uncle Ray's heart gave out mid-stitch on a prom tuxedo. Harper's Hems, the faded sign read, a relic from the 70s when tailors were kings and suits were armor. I wasn't a tailor by trade, hell, I could barely sew a straight line without cursing. But the rent was paid, and it beat waiting tables in Hell's Kitchen. Jordan had wandered in 2 weeks prior, off the street, complaining about a wedding suit that pinched like a bad lie. "Make it fit," he'd said, voice like gravel over silk, and handed me his card. Reyes Associates. I didn't Google him until after he'd left, my hands still tingling from the brush of his jacket. Now here we were, third fitting, the air between us crackling like static before a storm. His shoulders filled the half-finished jacket, broad and unyielding, the fabric straining just enough to hint at the power beneath. I wrapped the tape around him, inches from his ear, inhaling the clean bite of his cologne. Cedar and citrus, sharp as a first kiss. 38, I murmured, my voice rougher than intended. He didn't pull away. Instead, his hand rose, ghosting over mine, thumb tracing the vein on my wrist. Pulse jumped. Mine or his? The shop's clock ticked like a heartbeat, too loud in the silence. "Alex," he said, low and deliberate, like testing the weight of my name. No one called me that here, not the way he did, like it was a blueprint he wanted to build on. I swallowed, tasting the faint metallic tang of nerves. Outside, a pigeon cooed on the fire escape, and the first rays of sun sliced through the blinds, painting stripes across his face. Shadows played in the hollows of his cheeks, and for a split second, I saw it, the crack in his perfect facade. The architect who built unbreakable structures, trembling at the seams. I stepped back, tape dangling like a noose. "It's coming together. You'll knock him dead at the wedding." Whose wedding? His brother's, he'd said once, casual as coffee. But the way his jaw tightened now told a different story. Family. Expectations. The invisible chains that bound men like us in this city of endless reinvention. He turned, fully now, close enough that I could feel the heat rolling off him, like asphalt after rain. "It's not the suit I'm worried about." His eyes searched mine, pleading and fierce, the blue depths swirling with something unspoken. Desire? Fear? Both tangled like threads on my cutting table. My breath caught, a ragged sigh escaping before I could cage it. The shop smelled of chalk dust and possibility, the faint hum of the ancient Singer machine vibrating through the floorboards. Then, the bell above the door jingled, sharp, intrusive. Mrs. Kowalski, my 90-year-old neighbor, shuffled in with her weekly mending, her rosary beads clicking like castanets. "Morning, handsome. Fix my hem again." Jordan stepped away, the moment shattering like glass underfoot. I forced a grin, heart pounding. "Right away, Mrs. K." But as I knelt to pin her skirt, his gaze burned into my back, A promise or a warning? I couldn't tell which. Not yet. That night, alone in my walk-up above the shop, the city's symphony filtered through the cracked window. Taxis honking like impatient lovers, laughter spilling from a rooftop party 2 blocks over. I lay on my lumpy futon, staring at the water-stained ceiling, Jordan's card clutched in my fist. Reyes Associates. His number stared back, daring me. My phone buzzed, voicemail from my agent. Alex, babe, another no. Keep grinding. Grinding. Yeah. That's what New York did to you. Wore you down until you were just seams and scars. I dialed before I could talk myself out of it. 1 ring. 2. His voice, warm and wary. Alex. I exhaled, the sound raw in the quiet. The jacket, it's ready for pickup tomorrow. Early. A pause, heavy with the weight of unsaid things. I'll be there. Dawn. Click. I dropped the phone, pulse thundering. Dawn. Like we were thieves plotting in the half-light, stealing moments from a world that wouldn't understand. Sleep came in fits, dreams of blueprints bleeding into stage lights, his hands mapping my body like uncharted land. Morning broke with a vengeance, the alarm blaring like a spotlight. I stumbled downstairs, coffee bitter on my tongue, the shop still cloaked in shadows. The door creaked open at 6:50, and there he was, Jordan, wind ruffled from the walk, carrying 2 steaming cups from the bodega down the block. Black, 2 sugars, he said, handing me one. Our fingers brushed again, electric. Simple. Devastating. He shrugged into the jacket, the fit impeccable now, hugging his frame like a lover's arms. I adjusted the lapels, standing too close, the wool warm from his skin. Perfect, I whispered. He caught my hand, held it against his chest. I felt it then, the gallop beneath, wild and unchecked. Alex, The words died as his phone buzzed, insistent. He glanced at the screen, face hardening. My fiancé. Fiancé. The word landed like a slap, cold and clarifying. Emily. The wedding. The life he was building, brick by measured brick, while I stitched scraps in the dark. He released me, stepping into the light, the jacket gleaming like armor. Thank you, he said, voice strained. But his eyes, those damn eyes, lingered, telling the story his mouth couldn't. Hunger, regret, a spark that could burn us both. The door closed behind him, bell tinkling softly, leaving me with the echo of his scent and the hollow ache of what-ifs. I sank onto the stool, head in hands, a low groan escaping. The city woke around me, indifferent, but inside, the conflict roared, him, married soon to her. Me, forever on the edge. Yet that gaze, it promised more. A different story waiting to be tailored. The subway rattled beneath my feet like a pulse out of sync, each jolt mirroring the chaos in my chest. It was 2 days later, and I'd fled the shop for an audition in Midtown. Some indie flick about lost souls in the village, ironic as hell. Read the sides. The casting director barked from behind her clipboard, her voice cutting through the stale air of the holding room. I stood under the fluorescent buzz, script trembling in my hands, but the lines blurred. Not with nerves, with him. Jordan's eyes, that unspoken blueprint of want, replaying like a loop in my skull. Action. The scene partner, a lanky kid fresh from Juilliard, leaned in too close, his breath minty and false. You think you can just walk away? I delivered my line, voice cracking on the edge of truth. What if walking away is the only way to stay whole? The room applauded politely, but I was already gone, bolting into the elevator, the ding echoing like a curtain call. Outside, the October wind whipped down Broadway, carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts from a vendor's cart. I bought a bag, the warmth seeping through paper, but it did nothing for the chill settling in my bones. My phone vibrated as I ducked into a coffee shop on 9th, the kind with mismatched chairs and baristas who knew your order by heart. Unknown number. Heart slammed. I answered, steam from my latte fogging the screen. Alex? It's Jordan. His voice was a rumble, strained, like he'd run from his office to call. I need to see you. The suit. It's not right. A lie thin as tissue. I knew it. He knew I knew. Shops close Sundays, I said, testing. Pause. His sigh traveled the line, heavy with city static. Not the shop. The high line stretched like a vein through the concrete jungle. Elevated tracks turned garden path, wildflowers nodding in the breeze. I spotted him at the 10th Avenue bend, leaning on the railing, city sprawl at his feet. The Hudson glittered below, ferries cutting wakes like sighs. He turned as I approached, jacket slung over one arm. My jacket, the one I'd sewn with trembling hands. Up close, the wind tousled his hair, silver threads catching the sun, and his eyes, storm blue, held a tempest. You lied? I said, no preamble, the words tumbling out raw. He winced, rubbing his neck, the gesture boyish on his frame. Yeah, I did. We walked, gravel crunching underfoot, the distant honk of taxis a faint underscore. He talked then, words spilling like rain off a ledge. The wedding in 2 weeks, Emily's laugh like wind chimes. His family's brownstone in Brooklyn where Sundays meant rosaries and expectations. I'm the good son, he murmured, voice thick. The one who builds legacies, not this. His hand gestured vaguely between us, but his eyes said everything. The this of stolen glances, the this of tape measures and dawn coffees. I stopped under a canopy of rustling leaves, the air sharp with autumn decay, rotting apples from a nearby tree mingling with the river's brine. Then why come here? Why me? My voice broke, a hitch that betrayed the actor's polish. He stepped closer, the space between us shrinking to a breath. Because when you looked at me in that mirror, Alex, it was the first time I saw myself. Not the architect, not the fiancé, just me. His hand lifted, hesitated, then cupped my jaw, thumb rough against my stubble. Skin ignited. I leaned in, foreheads touching, the world narrowing to the heat of him, the faint salt of sweat on his skin. Our lips met tentative, a brush like testing fate. Then deeper, urgent, his mouth tasting of black coffee and desperation. A groan rumbled from his chest, vibrating through me, and my hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss was a storm, teeth nipping, tongues mapping unclaimed territory, the wind whipping around us like applause. Somewhere a jogger whistled, but we didn't care. Not in that moment. His fingers tangled in my hair, tilting my head, devouring like a man starved. I gasped against him, the sound swallowed, my body arching into his solid warmth. We broke apart, panting, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling in white puffs. Fuck, he whispered, a laugh bubbling through the curse, ragged and real. I echoed it, my own chuckle shaky, the tension coiling tighter. But then his phone buzzed again. Emily's ringtone, a jaunty pop tune that sliced the air. He pulled back, eyes darkening. I have to go, I finished, the word ash on my tongue. He lingered, hand trailing down my arm, then gone, striding away with the jacket over his shoulder like a shield. I sank onto a bench, chest heaving, the taste of him lingering bold, addictive. The high line hummed with oblivious life. Couples hand in hand, kids chasing pigeons. But for me, the conflict sharpened. This wasn't a scene I could rehearse. Jordan was a structure half-built, foundations cracking under the weight of who he was supposed to be. And me? I was the thread, fragile, pulling at seams that might unravel everything. That evening, back in the shop, I unpicked a seam on an old coat, needle pricking my thumb. Blood welled, a crimson bead, and I sucked it clean, the copper tang grounding me. My phone lit up. His text, can't stop thinking. Tomorrow? I typed back, fingers flying. Dawn, bring coffee. Send. The die was cast. But as I locked up, the streetlights flickering on like hesitant stars. Doubt crept in. Emily, the wedding, his family, devout Catholics who'd disown him faster than a fallen beam. What were we building here, a dream or a demolition? Sleep evaded me again, the futon creaking under restless turns. Dreams wove through. Stages where I played the lover, spotlights hot on my skin, but the audience was his family, faces twisted in judgment. I woke sweating, the alarm a mercy. Downstairs, the shop awaited, scissors gleaming like accusations. Jordan arrived at 6, shadows under his eyes, but his smile, small, secret, lit the gloom. "Missed this," he said, handing over the cups. Our fingers linked this time, deliberate. We didn't speak of it, the kiss, the fiancé. Instead, we worked, me pinning cuffs, him modeling with a grace that belied his build. But touches multiplied. A hand on my lower back as he turned, lips grazing my temple in thanks. Each one a spark, building to blaze. By 7, the sun crested, flooding the room gold. He pulled me against the counter, mouth claiming mine fierce. No hesitation. Hands roamed, mine under his shirt, tracing ridges of muscle earned from sight visits. His in my hair, anchoring. A moan escaped me, low and needy, echoing off the walls. The bell jingled, another customer. We sprang apart, flushed, laughing breathlessly. Old Mr. Patel with his endless alterations. "Busy morning?" he chuckled, oblivious. Jordan slipped out after promising more. But as the door swung shut, Emily's face flashed in my mind. From his wallet photo, all golden hair and easy smiles. Guilt twisted, sharp as a thimble prick. This story wasn't just ours. It was hers too. And the climax? It loomed, inevitable, a collapse waiting. Rain lashed the windows like accusations, turning the village streets into slick mirrors that reflected my fractured resolve. It was Wednesday, for days post-high line, and Jordan's texts had become a lifeline. Midnight confessions, dawn summons. "Emily's out of town." One read last night, followed by a photo. His hand on crisp sheets, invitation clear. I'd gone, heart hammering the 6 blocks, slipping into his Chelsea loft like a shadow. The space was all glass and steel, his designs unyielding, contrasting the chaos we unleashed. Clothes shed in a trail from door to bed, bodies colliding with the urgency of deferred storms. His mouth on my neck, teeth grazing, drawing a hiss from me as rain drummed the panes. "Alex," he growled. Name a prayer and a curse, hips grinding slow, deliberate, skin slid, slick with sweat, the air thick with musk and thunder. I arched, nails raking his back, mapping scars from childhood falls off Brooklyn roofs. He moved with precision, architect's grace. Every thrust a measured claim. Pleasure built, coiling tight, until release shattered us. Gasps mingling, bodies trembling in the afterglow. We lay tangled, his head on my chest, heartbeat sinking like a metronome. "This feels right," he murmured, voice muffled against my skin. I stroked his hair, salt and pepper strands soft under my fingers, but doubt whispered. Right for who? How long? Morning brought clarity's cruel light, coffee brewing with its bitter hiss, his phone silent for once. He kissed me goodbye at the door, lingering, lips soft. "Tonight," I nodded, stealing one more taste, the door clicking shut like a period. Back at the shop, the rain persisted, customers scarce, leaving me to hems and heartache. I stitched a vest, needle flashing, mind replaying. The flex of his thighs, the vulnerability in his sigh. God, he was beautiful, broad-shouldered fortress with eyes that stripped me bare. But Emily loomed, a ghost in every pause. I'd seen her Instagram, Rhea's wedding, posts of cake tastings and venue tours, her captions bubbly, counting down with my forever, forever. The word choked me as I locked up early, heading to rehearsal in a Soho black box theater. The play, a queer drama about forbidden love in 50s suburbia, mirrors held too close. Feel it, the director urged, a wiry woman with a voice like cracked leather. I did too much. On stage, under work lights humming hot, I poured Jordan into the role. The stolen glances, the desperate clutches. Sweat beaded, trickling down my spine, the wooden planks creaking under frantic steps. After, in the green room, my phone buzzed. Jordan. Stuck at sight. Rain delay. Dinner instead. Relief flooded. Then suspicion. Sight. Or her. I pushed it down, meeting him at a hole-in-the-wall Italian on Bleecker, candles flickering like hesitant confessions. The place smelled of garlic and Chianti, Sinatra crooning low from the speakers. He arrived drenched, hair slicked, shirt clinging to contours that made my mouth dry. "Missed you," he said, pulling me into a hug that pressed us flush, his laugh rumbling against my ear. Over pasta twirled on forks, we talked. Not the heavy stuff, but dreams. His boyhood sketches of impossible bridges, my additions that ended in almosts. Laughter bubbled, easy, his foot hooking mine under the table, a secret anchor. But then, wine-loosening tongues, he leaned in, eyes stormy. "Emily knows something's off. Asked why I'm distant." My fork stilled, sauce dripping like blood. "What did you say?" He shrugged, jaw tight. "Work. Always work." The lie hung, acrid as overcooked garlic. Dessert came, tiramisu, spoons clinking like toasts to folly. Outside, rain eased to mist, halos around street lamps. We walked arm in brushed arm, his hand stealing to my waist in shadowed alleys. At my door, he pressed me against brick, kiss devouring, tongues tangling, his groan vibrating deep. "Come up," I breathed, keys fumbling. Upstairs, the futon became our stage. Slow this time, exploratory. His lips trailed my collarbone, tongue dipping into hollows, drawing shudders. I mapped him back. Fingers over ribs, thumbs circling nipples that pebbled under touch. "Beautiful," I whispered, and he arched, a whimper escaping, raw and unguarded. Climax built languid, waves cresting in tandem. His name on my lips like a vow, mine gasped against his throat. After, spooned in sheets damp with us, his arm heavy over my waist, he spoke into darkness. "I love her, Alex, but not like this. Not like you." The admission cracked something open, joy laced with terror. Love. The word echoed, huge in the tiny room, the distant wail of a siren underscoring its weight. Morning fractured it. His alarm sight meeting. He dressed quick, kisses apologetic. "I'll call." The door shut, leaving coffee cold and bed empty. I lay there, staring at peeling paint, the high of night souring. Rehearsal that afternoon dragged, lines mangled by distraction. "Presence, Alex," the director snapped, but I was absent, adrift in his world. Post-curtain, a castmate cornered me. "Tommy, all tattoos and easy grins. You okay, man? Look like you got hit by a truck." I forced a laugh, clapping his shoulder. "Love truck. The worst kind. Home brought no solace." The shop's silence mocked me. I sorted fabrics, silk whispering like lies. Phone silent. Hours ticked, 8, 9. Then a knock, not the bell. Jordan, soaked again, eyes wild. "She knows." My stomach dropped, cold as the draft slipping in. "What?" He collapsed onto the stool, head in hands, a guttural sound escaping. Half sob, half curse. "Found the texts. The ones from you. Called me every name, cheater, liar. Said the wedding's off if I don't end it." Rain pattered, steady as my pulse. I knelt before him, hands on knees, thumbs stroking denim. "And," his eyes lifted, shattered blue. "I can't. Not with you." He pulled me up, kiss bruising, desperate. We stumbled upstairs, clothes shedding in fury. His shirt ripped, buttons scattering like confetti. On the futon, it was frantic. Bodies slamming, breaths ragged, the creak of springs of frantic rhythm. He took me hard, fingers bruising hips, my cries muffled in pillow. Release hit like lightning, leaving us wrecked, panting in the wet gleam of streetlight. He held me after, whispers fierce. I choose this. Us. But dawn brought reality's bite, voicemails from Emily, tear-choked pleas. His family, too, alerted. Dad's furious. Says I'm throwing away everything. The conflict crested, waves crashing. Love's thrill against legacy's undertow. I traced his jaw, stubble rasping. Then fight for it. He nodded, resolve hardening. But as he left, the door's click echoed hollow. The story twisted, our spark igniting fires we couldn't control. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine, the city bloating with pilgrims and turkey grease, but our secret burned hotter than any hearth. 2 weeks since the blow-up, and Jordan had ghosted Emily's calls. His loft a war room of takeout boxes and half-finished designs. We'd carved a rhythm. Mornings in the shop, afternoons stolen in parks, nights tangled in whichever bed claimed us. Last night, his place. Silk sheets sliding, his mouth worshipping my thighs, tongue teasing until I begged, voice hoarse. Jordan, please. He obliged, slow thrusts building to frenzy, our moans harmonizing with the hum of the city below. Climax left us boneless, his weight a welcome anchor, whispers of forever exchanged like currency. But cracks spiderwebbed. His phone buzzed incessantly, family group chat, Emily's number blocked but persistent via emails. We can fix this. Counseling. He deleted them, jaw clenched, but I saw the toll. Shadows deepening under his eyes, sketches abandoned midline. They're planning an intervention, he confessed one dawn, coffee steaming between us on my fire escape, the air crisp with frost-kissed air. Below, vendors hawked pretzels, salt scent wafting up. Mom's flying in, Dad's invoking the family-first clause. I squeezed his hand, knuckles white. And us? His kiss was answer soft, sealing. First. Always. Rehearsal that day was a blur. The theater's musty scent clinging like doubt. The play opened in a week, my role the linchpin. A man torn between duty and desire. Fitting. Director pulled me aside post-run, her eyes sharp. Channel it, Alex. Whatever's eating you, use it. I did. That night at a dive bar benefit, spotlights hot. Applause thundering. Jordan watched from the wings, his presence a magnet. Backstage, he claimed me against the prop wall, hands urgent under my costume, breaths hot and hurried. Proud of you, he growled, nipping my ear. We laughed, high on adrenaline, slipping out to a late-night diner where pancakes drowned in syrup mirrored our sticky sweetness. But the axe fell Friday. I was mid-stitch on a holiday gown when his text hit. They're here. Now. Heart seized. The shop's bell mocked me as I bolted, subway blurring in panic. Times Square chaos, holiday lights mocking with cheer. His loft building loomed, doorman nodding warily. Elevator hummed upward, my reflection pale, eyes wild. Door ajar, voices spilling. His mother's wail, sharp as shears. How could you, Mijo? After all we've sacrificed. Dad's rumble, low thunder. This phase ends now. Emily's waiting. I pushed in, the room freezing. Jordan, cornered by the floor-to-ceiling windows, face ashen. Emily, golden even in defeat, eyes red-rimmed. His parents, Maria, rosary clutched. Carlos, suit crisp as judgment. Alex, Jordan breathed, crossing to me, hand seeking mine. Defiance in the grip. Maria gasped, crossing herself. This is what you choose over family. Emily's sob cut deeper, raw. I loved you, Jordan. Thought we were building something real. The air thickened, scents clashing. His cologne, her floral perfume. Take out low, mane gone cold. I stood firm, pulse roaring. He's chosen. Respect that. Carlos advanced, finger jabbing. You're the poison. seducing my son. Jordan stepped between, voice steel. No, Dad. I seduced him. Because he sees me. All of me. The room erupted, accusations flying, tears streaming. Emily fled first, door slamming like gunshot. Maria collapsed onto the couch. Prayers murmured in Spanish. Carlos glared, then deflated, shoulders sagging. You've broken her. Broken us. Jordan held me through it, his touch lifeline amid the storm. They left eventually, ultimatums trailing. Disinheritance, exile from holidays. Door shut, silence crashed. He sank to the floor, pulling me down, face buried in my neck. Sobs racked him, hot and unfiltered, my shirt dampening. I'm sorry, he choked. I rocked him, shushing, the rug rough under knees. You fought. That's everything. We stayed like that, breaths sinking, the city lights twinkling indifferent outside. Night deepened, but sleep fled. We lay on the couch, his head in my lap, fingers tracing tattoos on his forearm. Youthful ink from a rebellious phase. Remember the first fitting? I murmured, voice soft. He chuckled, watery. Thought you'd bolt when I stared too long. I leaned down, kissing his forehead, salt lingering. Stayed. Best decision. Lovemaking followed, gentle. Hands exploring like rediscovery. Lips mapping tear tracks. He entered me slow, eyes locked, each movement a vow. Pleasure crested quiet, waves lapping. His release a shuddering whisper of my name. Dawn brought resolve. We're doing this, he said, brewing coffee with steady hands. No more hiding. I nodded, heart swelling. But the day unraveled. My agent called, lead role extended, tour dates clashing with his deadlines. 2 weeks in Chicago, I said over breakfast, toast crunching. His fork paused. I'll fly out. Optimism fragile. Then his firm. Emails demanding explanations, clients whispering. Reyes is unraveling. One read. Pressure mounted, vice tight. Evening found us at the shop, my sanctuary. He modeled a new vest I'd sewn. Cashmere, soft as promises. Tape measure again, nostalgic. His shoulders filled it, strong. Fits perfect, I said, hands lingering. Our eyes met in the mirror, story retold. Desire unbroken. But the bell rang, Uncle Ray's old friend, delivering mail. Inside, a letter, eviction notice. Rent hikes, village gentrification claiming another soul. Fuck! I breathed, paper crumpling. Jordan pulled me close, chin on my head. We'll figure it. But doubt flickered, our worlds colliding, foundations shifting. The conflict peaked. Love's build versus life's wrecking ball. That night, in my walk-up, rain resuming its lash, we made love fierce, bodies battling shadows, cries echoing off walls. His thrusts claimed, mine yielded, release a defiant roar. After, tangled, he whispered, marry me, someday. Joy sparked, but reality loomed. Families fractured, careers teetering. The story hurtled toward climax, seemed straining. December's chill seeped through the shop's cracks like insidious doubt, frost etching patterns on the windows that mimicked the fractures in our fragile peace. Opening night loomed, my play, Seams of Silence, a queer odyssey that bled too close to home. Rehearsals had intensified, the director's notes sharp. More ache, Alex. Make us feel the rip. I did, channeling Jordan's sobs, Emily's ghost, the eviction's bite. We'd found a sublet in Brooklyn, his idea, a walk-up near the bridge, rent split like vows. Moving day, boxes thudding, his laugh echoing as we unpacked, pizza grease staining fingers during a break that turned heated on the bare floor, clothes discarded amid cardboard chaos. His body over mine, urgent, that would cool against my back. Mine, he growled, nipping shoulder, hips snapping. I gasped, legs wrapping, nails digging crescents. Pleasure spiked, raw, our rhythms clashing then sinking, climax ripping cries from throats. After, sweaty and sated, we lay staring at exposed beams. Home, he said, kissing my temple. But home felt borrowed, the lease a temporary scaffold. Family fallout festered. His mother's calls, voicemails in tearful Spanish, pleas for mass, redemption. Come to confession, Mijo. God forgives. He deleted them, but each one carved deeper, his sketches growing erratic, lines jagged. My own kin. Mom in Ohio, dad long gone, called oblivious. Proud of the play, kiddo. Bring a girl next visit. I laughed it off. Soon, ma. The lie tasting like ash. Holidays approached, empty for us. No turkey, just Chinese takeout and a tree from the lot, strung with lights that flickered like hope. The intervention's echo lingered, but Jordan pushed forward, quietly coming out at work. A memo to HR, personal update, colleagues' reactions mixed. Awkward nods. One pat on the back from a junior designer. Knew it, the kid said, grinning. Pride swelled in me, watching him stride into meetings, shoulders back. But Emily resurfaced. A letter slipped under his door, elegant script. I wish you joy, but it hurts. He read it aloud, voice cracking, then burned it in the sink, flames dancing blue. Goodbye, he whispered, ashes swirling down the drain like shed skin. Opening night arrived, snow dusting the marquee like confetti. Backstage buzzed. Makeup brushes whispering, actors muttering lines. Jordan waited in the wings, suit impeccable. My tailoring, eyes shining. Break legs, he murmured, kiss chaste but charged. Curtain rose, lights blinding, the audience a black sea. I stepped out, heart thundering, the first line a gut punch. He touched me, and the world remade itself. Applause crashed at intermission, but the real roar came post-curtain. Standing ovation, critics scribbling furiously. Jordan rushed the green room, scooping me up, spin lifting feet off floor. You were electric. After party at a loft in Soho, champagne fizzing, laughter bubbling. We danced, bodies close in the crush, his hand low on my back, possessive. Whispers followed. That's Harper's guy. Pride, heady. But a call cut the night. His father, voice slurred with bourbon. Saw the play. Disgrace. Don't come home. Click. Jordan paled. Glass slipping. Shards tinkling like broken bonds. I pulled him to a balcony. City sprawl glittering below. Wind whipping scarves. Fuck him, I said, fierce. He nodded, but tears tracked cold cheeks. I tried. For years. We left early. Cab ride silent. His head on my shoulder, breaths uneven. Home. The Brooklyn walk-up welcomed with radiator hisses and faint neighbor's TV. He undressed me slow, reverent. Shirt buttons popped one by one, lips following. On the bed, he knelt, mouth hot and worshipful, drawing moans I couldn't stifle. I threaded fingers in his hair, guiding, hips bucking. Release built, title crashing with his name on a sob. He rose, entering gentle, our gazes locked. Love's mirror. Movements deepened, bodies speaking what words failed. Endurance, devotion. Climax shared, quiet tremors, holding tight as aftershocks faded. Morning brought New Year's resolve, therapy, joint. First session. The counselor's office smelled of chamomile. Her questions probing. What scares you most, Jordan? Losing him to this mess. Me. Dragging him down. Progress inching. But eviction loomed. Landlord's final notice taped to our door. Out by January. Panic surged. Job offers trickled for me, LA pilot. Tempting. For him, a promotion, lead on a Boston Tower relocation clause. Go if you need, he said over diner eggs, yolks breaking like resolve. No. Stubborn. Ours. Climax brewed that week. His mother's unannounced visit, key copied from old days. She burst in mid-morning, Bible clutched, eyes widening at us. Jordan in boxers, me shirtless, coffee mug steaming. "Madre," he started, but she advanced, voice shrill. "Demon, leave my son." I froze, heart slamming, but Jordan shielded, calm thunder. "He's not leaving. We love each other." Words hung, seismic. She railed, "Sins, hellfire," then crumpled, sobbing on the threshold. "I just want you happy." He knelt, hugging, tears mingling. "This is happy, Mom. Please." She left fractured. A hug for me tentative. Rosary pressed into my palm. "Pray." Door shut soft. Jordan collapsed against me, exhale ragged. "That was brave," I finished, kissing knuckles white. But the quake aftershocked. Calls from aunts, uncles shunning. Isolation tightened, noose-like. Yet in it, we forged stronger, nights cooking pasta. His sauce spicy as his laugh. Mornings tangled, lazy thrusts waking slow, sighs blending with birdsong. January gale howled, mirroring turmoil. My LA offer deadline ticked. His Boston project deadline loomed. Over wine in our dim kitchen, glasses clinking, we laid bare. "If I go, it's not goodbye." His eyes, fierce. "Then don't." But compromise whispered, remote for me, hybrid for him. The conflict crested. Love's pull versus ambition's tide. That night, love-making desperate. Fingers bruising, bodies slick, cries peaking in harmony. Release left us wrecked, clinging. "Together," he vowed, breath hot on skin. The story teetered, meaningful end in sight. February's thaw came grudging, ice cracking in gutters like the last barriers between us and whatever lay beyond. The play's run extended, sold-out houses, reviews hailing Harper's raw heartbreak. But success tasted bittersweet, checks padding accounts yet evictions shadow lengthening. We'd scraped by, sublet extended week to week, but Jordan's firm pushed, Boston or bust. Late nights, he paced our living room, blueprints unfurled on the coffee table, pencil tapping erratic. "It's the dream project," he'd say, voice tight, eyes pleading understanding. I nodded, throat closing, rehearsals blurring into arguments veiled as talks. We adapt. Like always. One evening, snow flurrying past windows, I cooked, steak searing, sizzle filling the air with promise. He arrived late, tie loosened, carrying lilies, fragrant, funeral white. "For you," he said, kiss apologetic. Dinner unfolded tense, fork scraping plates, wine loosening knots. "Accept it," I urged, hand over his. "I'll visit. Weekends." His laugh barked, hollow. Long distance? After all this? Silence stretched, heavy as the storm outside. Then eruption. "I can't lose you to miles, Alex. Not now." Words flew, accusations of selfishness, fears of stagnation. "You're clipping my wings," he shouted, chair scraping back. I stood, chest heaving. "And you're building walls again." The room spun, echoes dying to pants. He crossed, hands framing my face, thumbs wiping tears I hadn't felt. "I'm scared," he whispered, forehead to mine, "of everything falling." Kiss followed, salt tanged, deepening to anchor. We stumbled to bed, urgency born of fracture. Clothes torn, skin slapped, his mouth claiming neck, chest, lower. I yielded, gasps ragged, fingers twisting sheets. He thrust home, fierce, each drive a reclamation. Pleasure coiled, snapped, cries mingling, bodies shuddering in unison. After, curled, breaths evening, he spoke. Compromise. Boston halftime. You tour, I bridge. Relief flooded, tentative. Deal. Spring bloomed uneasy. My LA gig greenlit, short stint. His project groundbreaking, literally, dirt under nails on site visits. Distance tested. Calls at odd hours. His voice crackly over lines. Miss your laugh. Texts explicit, fueling lonely nights. Fingers proxy, sighs into pillows. But reunions ignited. Airport hugs crushing, Hotel rooms wrecked with passion. Mirrors fogged, his back arched under me, moans echoing off tiles. Summer scorched, conflicts ebbing to embers. Eviction resolved, shop saved by a investor uncle, surprise check. Family mended slow. His mother's tentative lunches, her hand patting mine over empanadas. Be good to him. Emily's wedding invite arrived. To her new beau, RSVP yes, from both. Closure, bittersweet. My play toured nationally, stages from Seattle to Miami, Jordan flying in for closings, bouquets in hand. Climax crested Labor Day, Coney Island boardwalk, waves crashing, cotton candy sweet on tongues. We walked, hands linked open, salt wind tangling hair. A photographer snapped us. Candid, laughing, and the shot went viral. Love on the boardwalk. Backlash hit. Trolls spewing hate, his firm waffling on promotion. But support surged, fans, allies, a rainbow wave. He stood firm. Press release. Proudly us. The world shifted, seams holding. Fall circled back, anniversary of that first fitting. We returned to the shop. Now thriving, my tailoring side hustle blooming alongside acting. Dawn light slanted gold, tape measure in hand. Shoulders still 38? I teased, wrapping him. He grinned, eyes telling the same story. Deeper now, etched with time. Hearts bigger. Kiss sealed it. Slow burn to heat. Counter digging into backs as hands roamed. Upstairs, lovemaking leisurely. Explorations renewed. Size content. Release a gentle tide. Years folded. Boston bridged. My career arcing. Broadway whisper. Films calling. His towers rose. Sustainable icons. Family wove in, wedding small. On a rooftop at sunset. Vows exchanged under string lights. His mother's blessing tearful. You measured more than shoulders, he said later. Ring glinting, bodies entwined in our brownstone bedroom. Brooklyn roots reclaimed. I traced his face, lines softer. Eyes told the truth.